Hello, everyone. My name is Oliver Klein. I'm from the LeanIX Alliance Management Team, and it's a pleasure for me to welcome all of you to our joint webinar with Deloitte today. Yes, we have a quite interesting subject, as I believe. It's about quite important use case for many of our customers, which is about the migration to SAP S/4HANA. So it's definitely one of the huge business transformation programs that most of the companies have ahead of them. Some of them have already made it, but many still are working on it or even haven't started. So, and we could recognize that enterprise architecture topics are quite important for many companies when it comes to such transformations. And in this regards, also many of our partners support our customers when it comes to such migrations. And our partner Deloitte is one of the quite experienced partners with this use case. And I'm really happy that to run today this joint webinar with them. And they prepared quite good material, which will go very much into detail, actually, on how LeanIX solution can be used to accelerate such SAP S/4HANA migrations. So I will host this session from our side, and so I have with me three speakers from Deloitte. So the first one will be Jörg Blom, who is a director within the SAP technology and platform at Deloitte, and so I'm happy to hand over now to Jörg, and yeah, let's have a good session together.
Thanks, Oliver. And also, hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome. Yeah, let me introduce myself in a little bit more detail. As Oliver said, my name is Jörg Blom and I'm a director at Deloitte, and I'm leading the talent group SAP Technology and Platform. What does this group? So we cover everything in our S/4HANA transformation, everything around technology. So that means architecture, that means integration, sub-bases, development, data migration. So everything what you can imagine you need from the technical point of view to run an S/4HANA transformation. With me today is Philip. Philip is from our technology and strategy and transformation area. Philip has a little bit broader view. I'm from SAP. Philip comes, let's say, from SAP and non-SAP, and has since years experience with LeanIX. And Niyati is also a speaker today. Niyati is one of my members out of my architecture group, who runs already some phase 0 projects where we look into it in more detail in this webinar. Let me move to the agenda. So in our agenda, I give you a quick introduction and I keep it short to Deloitte. We want to have a look at our SAP S/4HANA service portfolio. Sorry, that was too quick. At our S/4HANA service portfolio. Oh, okay. The S/4HANA transformation approach. How do we do a phase 0 project? How can LeanIX support this approach? And finally, we want to give you an overview how you can integrate LeanIX in your SAP landscape, and especially with the SAP Solution Manager. Going forward, so I think the majority of you have heard already about Deloitte. So Deloitte is one of the big 4 consulting companies. A little bit different, or the difference is that we are doing auditing and consulting under one umbrella. And so therefore, worldwide, we are more than 300,000 employees. But a lot of people, especially in Germany, don't know we have more than 80,000 sub-consultants worldwide. And as Oliver also said at the beginning, S/4HANA is our daily business. And we have a very high client satisfaction rate. That means we are delivering our project with high quality, and our clients are very satisfied about that. One reason for this satisfaction are our delivery centers. So S/4HANA projects are quite huge, and we use, as all consulting companies, nearshore and offshore capabilities, and we have certified delivery centers which support us in our S/4HANA transformation. We are certified in LeanIX since 2018, and we have a global partnership with SAP. We won a lot of awards. One of the major or main awards is the Pinnacle Award. We won it 2016, 17, 18, 3 times in a row. We are partner of the year 2000, digital partner of the year 2019, because especially in S/4HANA, everybody is also talking about digitalization. Let's have a look at our S/4HANA portfolio. And what you see here is what I said before is S/4HANA is our daily business. Especially in my group, we are only working in S/4HANA projects. And therefore, we already set 155 projects live. Looking at the bottom, looking at the Gartner numbers or what they are recognized, 35% of all of our clients or SAP clients will do the transformation in 2020. So that means 1/3 will do or have done the transformation until the end of the year. 2/3 is still in front of us. So that means there's a lot of work. And even now that SAP, maybe you have heard it, extended the maintenance to 2027 from 2025 due to COVID, let's say, we don't have a big impact on that. So it's time for our clients and customers to do the transformation. And one other very interesting topic is that the majority of our clients, so Gartner estimated it's 70%, we even recognized that with 85% of our clients are doing a migration, a greenfield migration. So that means they start really with a new system, cut what they did in the past, redesign their processes, and take the best of what they did in the past. We name it selective greenfield, and afterwards move the data into the system. And to start with such a project, you need a kind of foundation. And this is exactly what we do in our phase 0 projects. We already run 143, so we are very experienced. And now I will hand over to Niyati and Philip, where we look into more detail. How can we do a phase 0 project supported by LeanIX? Niyati, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jörg. Good evening, everybody. I'm Niyati. I'm manager in SAP Technology and Platform Services together with Jörg. I joined Deloitte a couple of years ago, and together I have 9 years of experience in SAP technical domain. Basically, I'm working with customers to build a vision on the IT target architecture. And today with you, I'm going to discuss how LeanIX could be a potential tool to build your repository for your target architecture. So beginning with firstly something about S/4HANA. So as you know, S/4HANA is the new ERP from SAP, which is not just a simple ERP, rather an intelligent enterprise. There are some challenges which are occurring today in the market, and we would like to highlight that. Firstly, the ECC support, which is traditional ERP system, is gonna stop by 2025. Of course, they have extended to 2027 currently, and maybe for some services till 2030. But of course, it's not a very long timeline, because typically for a transformation project, you need around a couple of years. So it's really good to start now than late. In addition, there is a need of digitization in the market. Today, the demands of the business are changing, the consumer demands are changing. There are new technologies like robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., which are there in the market. Traditional ERP is not sufficient to use these technologies, and S/4HANA is fully capable of using these capabilities. There's also change in the customer experience that we have business. Nobody really wants to log into the GUI anymore, but rather enjoy the web-based Fiori applications, which is more interactive, easy to use, and you can use it nearly everywhere, whether you're on the shop floor or in the market. So there has been a change in the demands, how the users want to operate their interface. Also, there's a change in the architecture that we have seen recently. So earlier, people used to make, companies used to make their own ERPs and their own systems to enable small functionalities, but now they are more open to satellite systems, which is adding to the architecture. So it's really important that when you start at the S4 transformation, you have everything in mind, and the architecture is an important parameter or a pillar of your transformation. So S4HANA offers, like I mentioned, various capabilities. In addition to the traditional ERP, there are many solutions which S4 offers, like Ariba for vendor management, procurement services, Concur for travel and expense, Analytics Cloud for your reporting, SuccessFactors for your HR services. In addition, we have the SAP Cloud platform, which enables you to do your custom development, and the SAP Leonardo platform, which is the future. It offers various services and microservices to enable the use of Internet of Things, machine learning, big data, blockchain. So this is the future that you can expect, and thus it is really necessary for the companies to change the way how they think the business is running and be really important in the market. How Deloitte assists you. So Deloitte offers a variety of services. For example, sorry, I guess it was too fast. So Deloitte offers you not only implementation support, but rather strategic support in assisting your capabilities, doing the assessment, identifying where you can be a differentiator from the market, analyzing your business process, changing your business process to be more faster and reliable, selecting applications together with you. For example, new solutions are there in the market which are faster and more reliable. We suggest you to go for those tools rather than using the traditional manual methods. And then together with the customers, define the transformation roadmap, considering all the parameters together. We also support in implementing the transformation, which typically lasts a year or so for a normal sizing of customer. And in the end, we also support the applications. So once it's built, and since we have built it, we offer you the application management and the support of that. So today, I would like to highlight you how Deloitte delivers typically our S4HANA transformation. So this is our approach, which is our enterprise value delivery approach. And this is purely based on Agile. So you can see we have different phases: prepare, explore, build, test, deploy, and run. Build is typically done into sprints where you have either 4 weeks or 6 weeks of sprints, depending upon the customer, and where you can actually plan the work in a more agile way. Testing is more on a waterfall approach where you have all the small blocks together, and then you can perform an integration testing. And then we support you for the deployment and further execution and maintenance of your system. In addition, we also offer you one more phase, which is before you start the S4, and that is the phase 0, or the analysis phase. So since S4 transformations are really huge, it is really important that you take a step back and do a thorough analysis of what you need and what will set you apart as a differentiator in the market. So together with you, we do the capability assessment. We have per industry defined capabilities, which are strategic, foundation, or core. Together with you, we see your IT vision and then help you identify the target maturity of each capability. We also sit and talk with you about the architecture principles that exist today and what approaches you want for the future. For example, cloud strategy, whether you would like everything on-premise or whether you would like to go something on cloud and use infrastructure as a support or software as a support service. We help you setting up the transformation roadmap. We also help you setting up the business case. So suppose you're not sure that you want to have an S4 transformation or not. So we will sit with you, do the analysis phase, and then help you prepare a business case that really you need an S4 transformation, and how big will it be, and what will be the impact on the business for that. In addition, we also help you in the tools that can effectively help you maintain the repository, because it's not a day or so, it's for a period of time, and after implementation also, you need to run the system and the application. So it's really important that you have all the required tools, and not only PowerPoint and Excel, to record things like interfaces, like business processes, applications overview. So here, we definitely see a potential where LeanIX can be of great use, and we propose that there are different methods of integrating S4 with LeanIX, and we would like to discover more on how Solution Manager 7.2, which is new from SAP, can be a potential tool that you can integrate with LeanIX and help you maintaining the architecture repository. Further, going into detail of what Phase 0 offers. So Phase 0 has different layers. We do it at the business level, where we discuss about the business model and the operating model. We do the capability analysis and architecture, which is more on IT level. We also discuss about the program design, the transformation roadmap, how many resources you will need, what will be the IT reorg and things like that, and of course the change management. Today I would like to restrict myself and talk more about the capability analysis and the architecture. So for the capability analysis, like I mentioned before, we have set up a capability framework in which we have different focus areas defined for each customer type and each industry. Together with the customer and the CXOs, we take their interviews and talk with them about the IT vision, what they are doing different from the market, what can be a strategic differentiators, and help them to identify the target maturity that they want to go and the probable solution that they can choose. In the architecture segment, we take the input from the capability assessment and we analyze your as-is architecture. We see, is there any need for harmonization, standardization, how we can optimize and simplify your target architecture. We also discuss about the inventories. Wherever you see there's a potential gap on the inventories, like you're not using any automatic application, we suggest you to do that, which can be a great differentiator from the market. Also the transition scenarios, whether you want to go on cloud or whether you want to go on premise. All these things are together that we discuss with you in this Phase 0 to build a strong foundation. LeanIX could be a really good tool over here, and I would like to hand over to Philip here to elaborate more on how LeanIX can be useful for each of these deliverables. Over to you, Philip.
Thank you, Niyati. So in the following, we have prepared a couple of mock-ups and ideas how LeanIX can be applied in all of the elements Niyati just has presented as deliverable and activity within Phase 0. And yeah, one of the first ones which was presented was the capability-driven segmentation. And what we typically do in such a segmentation phase, we apply either, for example, Gartner Pace Layer logic or an own one to illustrate which of the capabilities I have already in LeanIX are for me strategically highly important, which of the capabilities are core and which are, for example, just foundational. And that just was today launched a new module in LeanIX. I'm happy to announce it first time that there is now sort of capability prioritization and segmentation support in the capability map you have. So you can now, beside the classical tag filtering, so adding a tag for one of the pace layers, for example, you can also use custom attributes in the way of assigning the value as an attribute in that way. And furthermore, you can also make a comparison about different maturity states, for example, so having the as-is maturity assessed as well as to-be maturity assessed. And these new features really support the first two elements, like the segmentation, and in the second phase, the capability target definition. Oh, sorry, that was the same mistake as I'm doing here. So trying to find back. Okay, here we are, sorry. And yeah, the maturity assessment, and you have on one view, for example, in the capability or fact sheet map report, your as is and to be maturity, plus the indication of the pace layer level. So for example, the 3 dimensions from strategic up to core and foundational. And this is quite illustrative and a good one-time shot and one-time view and to have all of the information at hand. So on the left-hand side, you can see the new feature with the maturity, for example, illustrated in here. On the right-hand side, for the target definition, you have the simple capability map, the fact sheet map report, which is working beyond, and then applied the filter on the dedicated level. And as you know, from the use of LeanIX, you can go into the details, have a look at, for example, one of the capabilities. And in that example, in the mockup, you can see that that was assigned as a tag. And this tag group is then used for filtering and further analysis. So going in the architecture where most of the music will be played in the end. First of all, we have to connect the capabilities, so from the more business strategic point of view, with the architecture which is already in place. And they are one of the traditional approaches and already built in reports for many years is the application landscape map, where you have filtered from the capability point of view, assigned the applications into the overall landscape. And this is where you can apply various filtering methods. And from the point of a transformation approach, the life cycle is quite crucial to understand. So what will be the change behavior of my application landscape at now, as well as in the far future, to understand what are applications which are, for example, planned. So here in the example, we have, for example, the S4 modules already included as planned. And we can also see per capability what will, for example, applications which will be phased out at one point in the future. And what you do in the fact sheet, you just have to create the linkage. So define that as business support, that the capability is supported by the application, and vice versa on the application fact sheet can be done as well. Another, and this is from my personal perspective and experience, one of the key things where LeanIX will heavily support you is the architecture target definition. So looking ahead, how will my application landscape with all of the new SAP stuff I'm introducing in my organization will look like one day? And there are a couple of ways and options at the moment how you can do that. And the most simple one is using the tag groups. For example, you have a tag for SS, you have a tag for 2B. You do not really know when that will be happen. You just know that it will be happen somewhere in the future. And again, on the application landscape, you just can filter via one dedicated tag to see, for example, what is my application landscape in a status as is, and vice versa. For example, what is my application landscape in the 2B or as a combined SS and 2B application state. So if you want to see the whole change, you can use, for example, both tags. If you just want to see the target, someone in the future, you use, for example. The only issue which doesn't answer you the tag is when this 2B will happen and when this 2B will take in place. And this is where we recommend to go via the life cycle. So this is a bit more complex and more resource consuming regarding the data maintenance. Because there are quite a lot of life cycle phases and quite a lot of decisions to be made when this application will probably come into life. So from plan to active. And here you can apply the same filtering mechanisms to see, for example, my current architecture. So how does it look like for now, as well as how will my application look like in the future. The good and one of the advantages of this filtering view is that besides you can also apply a view, for example, the pace layer logic again, and you can see exactly so what are, for example, the strategic applications which will be in place in this example, for example, 2025. What is also interesting when defining the target is to understand the dependencies of all of the applications which will form the target. And last year in November, when the Smart Explorer was launched, from our perspective, that was one of the very helpful and crucial tools to understand and to do a deep dive analysis of all of the dependencies which might be in your application landscape and architecture itself. So instead of scrolling through the fact sheets and analyzing it in Excel, as it was maybe in the usual way before the Smart Explorer, you now have the option just to click on the dependencies and to understand and drill down the tree of all of the dependent items, for example, on the application level, as well as on the technology level once you have defined it. And here, as you can see, this is probably not possible in the real LeanIX world, but this is a simple mock-up for illustrating it on the slide. For example, if you want to understand the dependency of one dedicated technology applied for the integration of S4, and you can use the drill down. You can look at one dedicated interface. You can understand the dependency, what IT component, for example, your message queue is used, and then what other interfaces might also be dependent on that technology if you're thinking about changing it in the future and to adapt it to your target once it is set. Coming more from an integration perspective, it's not only about defining the application building blocks, it's also about defining the integration of these new application building blocks into the current landscape. And the automatically generated report for the data flow diagram is extremely helpful to understand the dependencies of the S4 modules and all surrounded and linked legacy applications, for example. And if you're applying here the life cycle, you can see, for example, fading out applications, so which probably do not have to have an interface to S4 in the future anymore. And you can also define the technologies which are currently assigned to the information flow. Plus, if that is required, also do an analysis on the data objects which are exchanged. If you really want to scale and have a large-scale integration with a couple of hundreds of interfaces, it's always highly recommended to go with things like integration patterns, and to define once a pattern how an integration for a dedicated SAP to legacy world, for example, looks like. And you can then use the integration patterns, for example, to filter for dedicated interfaces, which will be then implemented, for example. So this is like a very narrow view on the interface circle map, just a few applications. And for the sake of simplicity, here in the mockup, there are 2 integration patterns included. And just to filter out, okay, all of the applications which are then using those integration patterns. Vice versa, you can also track if one of the integration patterns you have defined might not be used at all. So, and last but not least, this is also quite a new feature. If you're keen on modeling your target landscape in an Archimate notation style, and this is sometimes heavily used and applied, that modeling in Archimate is a suitable way of defining your architecture. This is also now offered and possible in LeanIX as a free draw at the moment. And one of the advantages is, of course, you can also apply filtering mechanisms to the Archimate shapes. However, it goes with the classical and traditional colors of the Archimate language and the Archimate notation. So you have, let's say, the powerful advantages of both. So from the modeling language and the precise notation, as well as the filtering and reporting capabilities of LeanIX. And of course, the objects are connected. So if you're interested in the details, you can go and jump directly to one of the fact sheets. Last but not least, as Niati has mentioned at the beginning, it's also about maintaining and building up the application inventory. So here are a couple of views which will help you to define and manage your application inventory. And by default, as you all know, the inventory is one of the key elements in LeanIX, available via one of the central tabs. And most of the reports heavily rely on the data which is in the inventory then. You can filter for technology use and apply reports for that. You can also like drill down and understand the sourcing options and location options for the applications now. So all of the data you're collecting, they will build up your application inventory. And instead of running around and collecting everything with the traditional Excel sheets, how it might be applied in the past, LeanIX, once it is decided to be used in a phase 0 and beyond, brings in the powerful survey feature. And this helps to save efficiency on data collection as well as tracking of the retrieval of data, because the step translating the data from the Excel into LeanIX can be abundant. You can directly edit the data in LeanIX, you can enrich and populate the repository, and everything which cannot be saved in the repository or edited attribute, while it still can be received in an Excel format from LeanIX and analyzed for further purpose. But you go via one central tool, one central repository, And you save quite a lot of time by using the survey function to build up the inventory. Regarding the cloud approach, so one of the second last steps to understand, so which applications or IT components will run on-premise, which will go in the cloud. You can also use the free drawing, and this is a simple mock-up to illustrate a high-level target picture of an SAP landscape in the near future. And you can derive the decisions whether you go into cloud or stay on site, and even for the cloud elements, you can decide whether to go public or private, just to give you a full picture of the landscape and to understand possible dependencies you might. In the end, it's not only about defining the target, it's also about achieving the target. And this is where transition architectures come in. LeanIX has some of the features already built in. So if you want to have a long-term perspective per year, you can, for example, apply the application metrics report and change the access to the timescale view. And then you can see, for example, the transitions from the old application world to the new S4 world. So in this example, the S4 elements, they are already in the phase planning. And in 2023, they will go live. And this is exactly the handover from the old to the new application. There's another report if you're thinking about, one transition is probably not enough, or the time scale with just 1 year is not precise enough. And this is available in the LeanIX store. I'm happy to say, like, this is one of the Deloitte reports which is available here. So that can be used and applied via tech group. So you have the transition tech group you're using here. You're defining transition steps per application, and you have to define the predecessor and successor. And if that is maintained, you can even come up with more powerful transition scenarios and illustrate, for example, over 10 transitions. I mean, in the end, one transition can be one dedicated point in time. You can illustrate how your application landscape will change, how applications might be merged into new ones, and for example, if new applications will come up, they will also occur in the diagram over here. A last report, which can also be applied, is the traditional application roadmap. Here you have a more precise view on the timing, but that doesn't really answer you in the end how the relations between more successors and predecessors is. You can define the predecessor successor per application, but then you have to open up via the plus symbol and do a bit more of analysis here. So that also gives you quite a good overview. However, we recommend to go with the application metrics, which I've shown first, or the predecessor or successor roadmap report at this stage. Good, and with that, I'm handing back to Niyati. So having shown you all of the most important views supporting you in phase 0, and she's guiding you now through the solution manager integration part.
Thank you, Philip. So what we have seen until now is that LeanIX offers huge capabilities that we can use to maintain repositories during our S4 transformation, whether that is target application, interfaces, integration patterns, capabilities, business processes, and things like that. The initial activity that we do typically in phase 0 is the analysis and building such kind of repository, which we will be leveraging later in the implementation and the application maintenance support. So when you start typically the implementation, which lasts for a year or 2, you have everything which is planned. You have a clear direction on the dependencies. You have clear roadmaps that what should go first and what should go later. You have a transition roadmap where you can split your implementation into multiple waves to avoid any business process conflict, any integration dependencies. So LeanIX is really useful to assist you during the implementation phase as well. Of course, you can definitely keep it updated every time there are changes, and there will be eventually changes. Once the implementation is there and everything is live, you need to maintain that. And LeanIX provides you support there as well, highlighting when the systems are supposed to retire, when is the planned maintenance, if some process is changed, what will be the dependency and the impact on the other integrated applications, interfaces, and data flows. So LeanIX will be a holistic tool for you guiding you throughout the S4 transformation and later the support. Yeah, going further. Yes, so let's suppose, some of you are already LeanIX customers and already have your as-is repository on LeanIX, but some people don't have, or some customers do not have this repository. Then together with them, we try to build this repository from the phase 0 initial days. We work with them to build the as-is to understand what actually exists and then map the target. LeanIX repository should be updated every time there's a change, and it's really important that you have some kind of an automatic integration with some tools so that both the sites are up to date. So there are two possible options that you can use. One is the Solution Manager, which is a tool provided by SAP, and it's a very heavily used tool in any S4 transformation. It offers huge capabilities around integrated business processes, interface management, change request management, test management, transport management. So you can integrate Solution Manager with LeanIX, where you can export everything from Solution Manager into your LeanIX so that you can update only at one end and the other get automatically up to date. The second possibility is that you have an add-on connected with a middleware, POPI or CPI, which is the new cloud platform integrated middleware from SAP. You can have this add-on and it will automatically link your interface overview with the LeanIX, and whenever there is any update, it is automatically reflected in LeanIX. In today's session, we will deep dive more into the approach 1, where you have integration with the Solution Manager with LeanIX. So like I mentioned, the Solution Manager is a versatile tool and offers huge capabilities. This is very different from Solution Manager 7.1. You can do a lot of monitoring activities. You can have your applications maintained and a lot of stuff going on in Solution Manager. So we propose a semi-automatic integration of Solution Manager and LeanIX, where you can download your fact sheet repository from Solution Manager, upload in the LeanIX via CSV file, and you have the data maintained over there. So with this semi-automatic method, you don't have transfer gaps, which means the systems are not updated, and this you can do throughout your implementation and this application maintenance support, and this will give a very closer idea to your enterprise architect understanding what is happening. So this is a possible method that you can do to automatically integrate Solution Manager and LeanIX. Here I've added a sample of how closely the both systems look and how you can see that different characteristics of applications exist in both the systems, and that you can effectively do the mapping and have the information transfer between both the systems. So like you can see system details, life cycle information, dependency, all the information is available at both the ends, so you can easily configure and integrate both the applications for the transfer. So summarizing, every S/4HANA transformation, it's huge, it's not small, requires a couple of years, and it definitely requires an initial evaluation so that we understand what is your target objective and what's your target IT vision, and then build together with you the enterprise architecture. LeanIX has a lot of capabilities to support the development of required asset, which will be useful for you throughout the business. You need not have different PowerPoint, Excel, which require update and are eventually lost somewhere. LeanIX provides a very consistent and reliable view on your business and architecture, highlighting dependencies wherever they are and giving you a holistic picture. And LeanIX can definitely act as an accelerator in S4 transformation, helping you to realizations and eventually your maintenance of the application. Yeah, so if you're considering S4 transformation, definitely LeanIX would be a very fruitful tool to be installed from day one. Now I hand over back to Oliver
Niati and Philip, thanks for your good presentation. I think this was really helpful and going very much into details and could provide everyone some really good concrete ideas. And for everyone who is already involved in a SAP S/4HANA migration, but also, I guess, especially will be very helpful for everyone who's currently planning one. As we could see, LeanIX provides significant benefits, especially for the first phase of an SAP S/4HANA migration, which is called at Deloitte phase 0. Based on the importance of this use case for many of our customers, our content marketing team has also put together quite good papers and posters on that help with this usage of with this use case. We have just recently published 2 white papers on this topic and 2 posters on these topics that give an overview about typical challenges and how they can be addressed by using LeanIX as an accelerating tool for SAP S/4HANA migrations. So we will share this slide deck after this webinar with all attendees, and in the deck you will find also the link to those resources, but you of course find also such resources in the resource section on our webpage. Yeah, last but not least, I just would like to ask if there's any questions, and if any one of the attendees has any questions, please ask them by using the Zoom quality and answer functionality. So, so if you have any questions, yeah, please let us know. And so Jörg and Niati and Philip will try to give answers on those. Was everything clear? No questions so far? Okay, so it might happen that any questions come after the call. So if any questions will come after the call. We will share in the deck as well. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. So I just saw there are some questions. So there was one question asking how to model Fiori apps in LeanIX.
Yeah, tricky part, so I take the question, Philip. Yeah. I'm facing the same situation right now, and as usual, there is no right or wrong answer. And from the practical experience, what LeanIX offers, it can be, for example, if you have the application and the application hierarchy, including the parent relation, you can, for example, model the Fiori apps as an application part of a larger user interface application or sub-interface application. So it's still on the business application level, not on the technical level. And you would then apply a hierarchy system or parent-child relation for the sake of simplicity, because then all of the reporting still is available for the application object. And yeah, the same is valid if you, for example, model user-oriented apps in that way.
Okay, thanks, Philip, for this answer on the modeling of Fiori apps. There's actually a second question which goes in a similar direction. So it seems like modeling is a quite important topic for many. So the second question is how to model SAP interfaces in LeanIX.
Depends on how deep you want to drill down into the SAP application. So I know project situations where you handle SAP, including the modules, more or less as black boxes, and you just try to focus on the integration of the overall SAP into your existing IT landscape. Other way around, if you want to illustrate or document the interfaces between the various SAP modules being in place, this is still the same object type of the information flow. If you really want to drill down into one of the modules and document the internal behavior of I call it software architecture, there's probably another discussion coming up where to leave the realm of the free and free drawn, free modeling, and going into another way of illustrating the internal behavior of an application module.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just also an additional remark from my side. So as all this modeling is a quite important topic, and as we get often questions on how to model the different scenarios and system setups of SAP landscape environments, we put together a kind of guideline on how to model those different landscape types. And you find this in the online product documentation, so in the user guideline behind the section modeling best practices. Yeah, and there's a strong focus especially on SAP, the modeling of SAP focused landscapes. So just checking if there's any other question. Yes, so there's another question. So I just will read the question. Does Deloitte have experience with the SAP model company and the integration of its business processes in LeanIX?
Oh, yes, Jörg, let me take this question. So we are, let's say, in contact with SAP to look into the SAP model company. Usually it is provided to clients, and we have experience, let's say, to work on a model company with clients, but the access is restricted, right? But at least these are best practices which can similar be modeled.
Okay, thanks, Jörg, for this answer on this question. So are there any further questions from anyone in the call? Okay, seems not. As just said in the beginning, so we will share the slide deck from this webinar after the webinar with all attendees. You will find in the end of the slide deck the contact details of all the presenters. And if you have any further questions, please just contact them, and yeah, and I'm pretty sure they will be happy to support you on these topics. Yeah, so we just get to the end of this webinar. So big thanks to everyone who joined the webinar. I hope it was valuable for you and you took something out of it. And if you liked it, or if you have ideas for further webinars, joint webinars from LeanIX and our partners, please let us know. So we are always happy to organize such sessions for our customers and to give you good ideas for the best usage of LeanIX for your use cases, and together with our partners. And last but not least, also a big thanks from my side to the colleagues from Deloitte who prepared, my way, quite good this webinar today, and for their very detailed and concrete content and presentation. Yeah, thank you very much for the effort that you put in this, and thanks a lot. Yeah. So to everyone, wherever you are based, have a nice afternoon, have a nice evening, or a good start in the day. Yeah, thanks a lot, and bye-bye.